This is our live Monday weekly series that I plan on doing every single Monday to connect with you all and talk all things systems, business, sharing behind the scenes. And today we're going to be talking about the client onboarding process that I use that I'm able to go through and pretty much book clients in my sleep. So last week, and right now I'm actually recording from home, so you probably have never seen like this setup before. I'm actually at home. We are live. So definitely if you are tuning in live, feel free, introduce yourself in the chat. Just let us know that you're here. What do you do? I would love to go through and chit chat and connect with you inside of the chat as well. But and if you're not here and you're not tuning in live, definitely feel free to just hashtag replay and introduce yourself here, okay? Because this is the space where us service providers can come together and kind of see just like behind the scenes of the business. You can ask questions, etc. So, like I said, today we're going to be talking about the client onboarding process that I have created for my business as a system strategist and the thought process and the things that I do just to onboard my clients without me really having to not necessarily lift a finger on the whole process, but for majority part of the process, especially right after the book. So I posted on Threads and it seemed to get like a pretty good traction that I posted. I'm actually going to share that post with you guys, but it said that I woke up to a signed contract and payment for my 5-star client experience CRM setup. And this is everything that happened in my sleep. So I am going to go through, I'm going to share that post and I'm just going to go over like my process and thinking and how I've actually been able to go through and accomplish each one of those things. So let's go ahead. I'm going to bring up the thread and let's go change the layout here so you can still have me visible. Okay, great. Okay, so I posted this thread. As you can see, this thread was last week, February 16th. And like I mentioned, I put up here, woke up to a contract and payment for my 5-star client experience CR setup. Here's everything that's everything that happened in my sleep. Okay. So I'm just going to go through and break down some of these things and how I've actually gone through and created my onboarding process. Now, just in case you are new here, my name is Kenniqua Lewter. I'm a client experience systems and HoneyBook strategist. I help service providers turn their one-time bookings into repeat bookings and referrals by creating intentional client experience systems, okay? And I am a big advocate for creating simple systems. Like I'm not looking to create anything that's overly complicated because I feel like the simplest system is the easiest system that you can replicate. And so that's what we're all about over here, right? So the first part of the process. So just to kind of go into like a little bit of the client journey. So there's different parts of the client journey. The first part is going to be the inquiry phase. I talked about the inquiry phase in last week's live. So definitely if you want, definitely check out last week's live. It's on the channel under our Monday systems and chill playlist. Okay, so definitely go back and check that out because I did talk about the inquiry phase. But the inquiry phase, in essence, is when someone goes through, they raise their hand and say, yes, I am ready to go through and work with your business. And they submit an inquiry, like an intake form, and just let you know that, hey, I'm interested in your services. Okay, so that's that inquiry phase. Now, the phase that we have on the screen that I did and I posted on Threads is really this booking to onboarding phase, okay? So with my process, so I do offer a 5-star client experience CRM build, which is the build that we do for service providers. I go through when I set up HoneyBook for them. We do all of the setup, the forms, automation, and all of that goodness, right? And so I typically go through with that process. They do the intake form. On the intake form on our website, which is the HoneyBook lead form, they go through, they complete it, and then during the completion process or during them filling it out, they also go through and they fill out they book the sales call. Okay, so there's a HoneyBook scheduler, it has the sales call link in there, section in there, right? So they go through and do that. when I have the sales call with them, of course, we do the sales call. And if they give me a yes during the sales call, I then go through and I send out the proposal. Okay. So our proposal, it has the details about what is included with the CRM build. So, like with us, I don't, so some people may actually include like certain deliverables as far as a set number of deliverables. But with my CRM builds, and I'll talk about this like in another live or another episode, but with my CRM builds, I actually give you as much as you need in order to complete your client journey. So with some of our clients, it could be 10 forms, 20 automations, it might be 30, 30 is extreme, but it might be like 10 different schedulers. Like it could be as many as needed in order to be able to go through and complete their client journey, which is what we do during our strategy session. Okay. So if you're tuning in live, and maybe I should, put it on the chat. Let me put it on the chat. But if you are tuning in live, we're talking about the client onboarding process. We're talking about the process for which I posted this on Threads, and I'm just kind of breaking down this full process. Let me see if I can actually put the topic up here. Let me see if I could, let me go to my Airtable. Let's see if we can pull in this topic just so we can just have it on here. And I'm just going to break down this process here for you. And I'm going to do other videos, whether they're live, depending on what you guys want. We are going to do other sessions as well, where I can kind of take you step by step behind each one of these as well. So let me see. Let's write this. And here, let's make it small. Okay. And we will turn the timer off. Okay. All right, boom. So now we have the subject for what it is that we're talking about, the client onboard process that I run in my sleep. Okay. All right. So what happens next is, so I send over the proposal over to the client. They then have access in that proposal, goes over a couple of the details. We have the invoice attached to it. The contract is there. They also have the payment section, of course, for them to make their deposit if they're paying a deposit or if they're paying in full. We typically allow our clients to go through and break up the service. We do flexible payment plans. So we typically allow them to break up the service in half and occasionally in thirds, just depending on when their project is due to kick off. Okay. So typically about a month and a half booked in advance, but it just depends on when their service is due to kick off. As far as the payment plan beyond just splitting it in half. Okay. So they could do that. And then there's the strategy HoneyBook form that they could go through. They can actually book their strategy call. So all of this is actually done in one document. Okay. So when they go through and complete it, so for example, this client that I'm speaking about here, she went through, she completed this, and she actually did this in the middle of the night. Okay, so she did this, it was probably about midnight when she did this while I was actually asleep. So what then triggered after she then completed it, which means she went through, she signed her contract, she made her deposit, and then she was able to go through and schedule her strategy kickoff session, again, all while I was asleep, okay? Then on the back end, what happened is that we have our HoneyBook onboarding documents sent automatically. So I have a automation inside of HoneyBook that when that proposal is completed, to then go ahead and send the client the HoneyBook document. Okay. So that HoneyBook document just have some general questions. Excuse me. So it actually has some general question, not general, but it has questions that we need in order to be able to be prepared for the actual strategy call. Okay. So we gather all of this information. It's automatically sent. It gives them like the information like, welcome. Thank you so much for booking the services with us. It goes over all of that information. Okay. So then after they go through and they get that information, and let me just check one thing here. I can't see my volume here. It's one thing when you go live. Give me 1 second. Let's see. I do try to check myself here. just to make sure that we're good, that I don't have to make any type of adjustments. Okay, 1 second. Okay, awesome. Okay, just making sure my volume is good. That's what happens when we're live. Okay. All right. So they get that document. So they automatically get that document. Again, this is happening in my sleep, right? This is happening in my sleep. And this is a simple automation that could be done inside of, we use for our client relationship manager, we use HoneyBook. Okay. So having this allows for when someone goes through and books, that they automatically know what's next. We provide them what's next. They complete that questionnaire. When they complete that questionnaire for their onboarding document for us, again, that's something that we can view. They get a thank you email. Just let them know thank you for going through and completed. Again, this process literally from this particular thread, but just in general, because we have automation set up, this happens in our sleep, right? This literally happened last week in my sleep. All right, so then the next thing is that the client was added to our client portal inside of Kitchen. Okay. So I personally, for the longest time, I have been using HoneyBooks for our client management. We have been using HoneyBook for years. I've been using HoneyBook for probably about 5, 6 years at this point in time. And so though HoneyBook does have their own client portal that's built into like their system, and it's great just depending on what it is that you want to do. So like if you're just starting out with a client management system, I feel like it's really a good tool to have where your clients can then go inside. They can see like the forms they created or completed, excuse me. They can see that. They can go through and they can see the payments that they might have going up. They can see any tasks that you have assigned to you, that I have assigned to them. They can see any notes that maybe you made visible to them, right? You could see all of that inside of the HoneyBook client portal. However, what we have done is created a custom client portal. I just found over the years, because of the deliverable heavy things that we have to do for our clients, that it just makes this so much easier to have everything in one place. And so I'll do a separate video on it, but what we use, let me see if it'll allow me to, I'm going to stop sharing this one and let me share, I'm just gonna just give you like a sneak peek of what our client portal looks like, but I'll do another video on it. But this is our client portal here. So we're able to fully go through and customize this client portal to our branding. We could put whatever sections that we want inside of here. So like we have like a start here section where our clients can view certain things. So like there's a start here video that's going to come up. So it goes over some things regarding the client portal. There's also, let us go back. There's also a task list. So I can go through, not that one. I could go through and I can assign tasks. Let's go here. Like for example, I can assign tasks. So this is like the task list that our clients get. So what we do is like, this is like this right here is a template. So inside the template, there's already tasks that are inside of the client portal. But after we go through, we do the strategy call with our clients, then we add the task from here. So each time, like, so during the strategy calls with our clients, we go through, we do a client journey map, and each one of those tasks that we need documents from them, then we go through and we add them to this particular project board. And then they're able to go through, they can open it up, and they can put the information that needs to be added there. Another thing that we have inside of here, so there's also like a chat room. This is like a chat style space versus inside, like natively inside of HoneyBook, you can send out messages. Clients can view messages inside of there. However, inside of there, it's really email based, which is fine. I think that is great for, excuse me, it seems like, this is so funny. It seems like my nose, all, if you have ever been on one of my lives or anything, my nose literally runs anytime I record a video. I don't have this problem any other time, but when I hit record, I think it's a nervous response. I'm not sure, but that's what happens. So anyway, so you have the chat room that's inside of here as well. I'm gonna do a whole nother video on this, but we have the video library. They can access the HoneyBook portal. So like it'll pull up the HoneyBook portal as well. So like it's attached inside of this client portal as well too. We use a tool just to kind of go over it. They can submit their support ticket. We use a tool called Kitchen. So like if you do want to use this, you don't have to be like a HoneyBook user to use this. You could use this no matter, it's a standalone system. So you could definitely use this. There should be a link in the description box if you do want to use something like this, okay? So going back to the process that we have. So the client is automatically added. Let me go back to share. Okay, so the client is automatically added to our custom client portal. Now, I am going to be adding to this step, so it automatically creates the client. It doesn't assign them the actual board as of yet. I am going to be changing it where it could assign them the particular board, but right now I have two different templates because I have two different services. And so I have the 5-star client experience build, and then I have the client experience accelerator. Those client portals, they actually have different stuff in them. So we don't assign it, but the client is added to the custom client portal. Okay. So if you're tuning in live, because this is a live session video here where we're talking about the client onboarding process that I use that runs while I'm asleep. So if you have any questions, definitely feel free, post them inside the chat. Even if you're watching the replay, you can hashtag replay and ask your questions here. All right. So then the next thing that happens, and again, all these steps that we're going through, this was, like I said, a thread that I posted. These steps all happen in automation. Only thing I have to worry about when the client does book is actually showing up to the strategy session. All of these other steps, they happen by themselves through automation. So the next thing is the client is added to our Airtable client hub. The project is created in Airtable, and then the payment is documented. So I will probably do a separate video on this. I'm trying to see, because of course I can't show you my active client hub because it has client stuff in it. But let's see, because I do have myself in there as just like a placeholder template. So let me see if I could just show just myself. Okay, yes. So let's pull this over. And I was going to open just myself because I don't want to share any client information. Of course not. Okay, so let's screen share. Let's look at Airtable. Okay. All right, so the next thing is I have my Airtable hub, right? So I have my Airtable hub. Okay, so this is the reason why I use the Airtable hub. This is me. This is not anybody else. Like you see the picture, this is me. So I have my Airtable hub. I have different sections in Airtable here. So I have my CRM, which has my clients, my projects and tasks, which those are projects and tasks that are associated with the client projects. I have my client support, so that's where I have my 30-day support tickets. So my clients can submit 30-day support tickets. They will go here, and clients that have monthly support plans will go there as well. I have my offer availability. So there, like I keep track of how many spots I have available for my services. That way I know that, okay, I can only do like 4 CRM builds a month. And so I keep record of those. And when I do sales calls, I hold the spot until only for 48 hours to allow the client to then go pay their invoice. And then I have my lead tracker system. We have internal resources, and then the dashboard for payments. Okay, so this is like the client hub. So what I do is, and the reason, so what I like to do, and this helps me to be able to go through and basically hone in on what I want for me, for my business, and also for my client's business, is to turn one-time bookings into repeat clients and into referrals. And how we're able to do that is we use HoneyBook in conjunction with Airtable. Okay, so we use these two different systems together. What I typically will advise clients, most of the clients that we work with, we always build HoneyBook first. We allow them to use HoneyBook first, especially if they've never utilized or put tools and software into their business, because it could be a lot to kind of get adjusted to learn, to navigate. So we always do HoneyBook first, and then we build upon it if they do need it. Not all clients in business, because I work with various different industries, from venues to photographers, coaches, consultants. I've had a pet concierge. I've done a LinkedIn business coach. Like I deal with a lot of different industries, and so not all of them need this expansive system. But for me, I go through and I do need to use something like this because I manage a lot of clients and a lot of different details all together. And in order for me to be able to kind of keep track of everything, I use these two things together. So when the client actually goes through and books their services, they're inside HoneyBook, they're getting all this information, but they're also added to my client hub inside of Airtable. Okay, so like I said, this is me. So inside of here, I can track all the information about the client. So again, this is me. I track everything as far as like their name. I'll put their industry. I also keep, and I'll do another video of this. I'm not gonna do the whole breakdown in this video and this live, but I also like even keep track of their birthdays. So keeping track of client birthdays allows for, so what happens is, like example, when their birthday comes up, it's an automation that triggers, that sends me an email to let me know, hey, such and such, for this example, me, Neek Jones, this is her birthday is today. Send her out a happy birthday and a gift card, right? So this allows for me to be able to run my business, to be able to still put in personal touches without me having to be on all the time, or for me not to have to try to remember all of these details. I go through, create a system where I could then allow it to be able to help me to be able to manage my clients and then still put in those personal touches. I also keep things like their mailing address because we do send them out client gifts. So I have a lot of different information. So the client payment. So for example, this section right here, this section pulls in from HoneyBook. So when a client signs that proposal, they make that payment information, it comes into here. It comes into this client database where I can see the payments that they made, and I can see the total amount of payments that they made. So as they're making payments, this number goes up. So each individual payment will show here. So it'll show, like, if there was a payment for 1,000, and it'll show that payment ID number that pulls from HoneyBook, as well as it'll show the next payment. It will also show me too, like if this is payment 1 of 2 or payment 2 of 3. So it'll show me what that payment is. And again, it'll keep a total amount of payments here. If they have multiple projects, so this is how I'm able to go through and keep track of how many times is the client coming back. Are we starting different projects for them? And if so, how many projects have they actually had? So we're keeping track of this. We also have projects listed in this section. This is like where all the support tickets are. So again, part of that process, and I'll do a separate video on the client, this particular client hub that I have in Airtable. But part of that process, like I mentioned, was part of that process of our onboarding process is to have an automation that is set up for, let me share my screen again. Part of that process is set up to have that client automatically added to that client project, right? Client project, client hub, where I'm not having to go through and manually go through and add them, okay? So let me know if you have any questions while we are live. But then the next thing that it also does is we do the Google Drive folder created. So again, all of this onboarding portion is all happening while I'm asleep or while I'm with my family, while I'm serving other clients, right? This is where this process is happening. So it also creates a Google Drive folder. Now, because we go through, we use our custom client portal, this is where a lot of the assets that the client provides us with, that's where that information typically goes. But what I use the Google Drive folder for is because I typically will do a couple of things. So I typically will create like a mock-up of their HoneyBook setup. So like as I'm building it, I'll take a couple of screenshots and then I could create like some mock-ups, and I typically will save that inside of Google Drive. I also do have a Google Doc that I use for offboarding, and I have an automation guide that's also connected inside of there as well. And so those I'm able to pull into our custom client portal. So I could show you an example of that. I have to keep flipping back and forth through the share, not share, but let me show you. So inside, let's share 5 star. Okay, so all right, so inside the client portal, so this is the client portal that we have. We use this inside of Kitchen. Like I said, it allows you to be able to totally customize what you want your clients to see, everything, right? You could put a lot of different stuff in here. So this is our client offboarding assets. So they don't get access to the client offboarding assets until after the project is done. So this is the template. This is hidden from them. So this folder is hidden from them until they're actually in the onboarding process. And then we actually show it visible to them. So what we have here is we have the offboarding Google Doc, the automation guide, and then we also assign some offboarding tasks to them. So, and I'll do another section about offboarding, but this is why I use the Google Drive folder. So if you want to know why I use the Google Drive folder, what do I put in there for each client? Excuse me. I tell you, my nose runs. But this is what I put in here, okay? So the Google Drive folder. So this form is the template, but when I go through, so when the automation sets, once they go through and pay, that the automation is set to create them a Google Drive folder. So it creates a Google Drive folder with their name, and then I'm able to go through and copy this form here, this template, as well as the automation template inside of their folder. And then I can link that inside of the client's portal, right? And so they can see the information about the offboarding and all the offboarding information that they need. And then like any type of the automation guide. So they'll have access to like the automation guide. So that gives them the full breakdown of that. And then they also get access to, and this isn't offboarding, but they'll also get the offboarding tasks, right? So these are like just basic things that, hey, this is what you need to review. You review your walkthrough videos, right? All of this is inside of their client portal. But that's what I use the Google Drive portion for. I don't really have clients put things in Google Drive because they're able to just put all of their assets, like their documents and all of that. They can put all of that inside of their client portal. Okay, so this is the only reason why I use the Google Drive portion. The only other thing I did not actually, let me stop sharing. The only other thing I did not actually add in that Threads post that I shared last week about my onboarding process that I actually forgot that also happens is that I have an automation set up that when someone goes through, they book the service. Hold on one second. That they go through, they book the service. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so when they go through and they book the service, that I track my time inside of Toggle. Okay, so I use Toggle as a time tracker. And so what I do is when they go through, they do that onboarding. So they go, they make that payment, sign the contract. Also in the back end, I have an automation set up inside, and all of this is done in Zapier. Okay, so these particular tasks that I shared with you, most of these are Zapier tasks that are created, but Zapier automations that are created. But then I go through and then I have toggles set up where their client is created and a project is created inside of Toggle. That way, when it's time for me to start working on the project, I don't have to remember, did I create a project for them inside of Toggle or did I add them already? It's already added. So all I have to do is just put the description of what I'm working on and then just attach the client. That's all I have to do. So it makes it super, super simple. Like these tasks, they're very small tasks, but a lot of times if we could go through and we could take just those little things off of our plates, it can actually just give us so much time back, and we don't have to worry about like, did I do this or did I do that, just setting up those simple automations. So kind of just a recap. Let me know if you have any questions since we're live, but just a little recap. So what I do in my onboarding process, my main thing that I use in order to be able to manage and to onboard my clients is going to be HoneyBook. So they start with HoneyBook, and we do a lot of things to HoneyBook. Most of the things that we do is for payments and invoicing and scheduling, our onboarding form and offboarding. And then Airtable is where I kind of keep the minor the details, right? Like I said, like birthdays, mailing addresses. This is where I keep track of like all of the meetings that they did. I can write notes. I can do tasks. So I can say, oh, remember to send out this client gift. I can do a task. So that's where like the project management and like special details live. And then HoneyBook is like that overarching, this is how we get paid. This is like the front facing type of thing that we have with a lot of different clients. So I hope this kind of gave you some ideas of maybe what you could do or maybe utilize or maybe, kind of spruce up your onboarding if you feel like there's still some things that you might want to do in your business to kind of just take things off your plate and just to make it a little bit easier. There's definitely some things that can be done if you want. So definitely, hopefully this just like inspired you to kind of look at your system and see what it is that you can do. Definitely let me know if you have any questions. Let me know inside the chat. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions at any point. You can also, I love to hang out on Threads. So definitely feel free to connect with me on Threads. You can send me a private message as well as on Instagram. I'm not on Instagram all the time, but I do kind of check in periodically to check my messages. So feel free to send me a DM there if you have any questions. And if this is something that you do want to have set up for your business, like I said, I do go through, I create 5-star client experience CRM builds. I start off using HoneyBook to go through and make those builds happen for you. And then again, if it's something your business needs, we can then build it out from there, just depending on your business needs. So you can go to our website if it's something that you do need. Just go to your system support, yoursystemspro.com. And then I'll be more than happy to submit an inquiry with me. I'll be more than happy to go through and assist you. These lives, again, my friends, we're going to do these lives every single week. If you have something that you want me to show, that you want me to talk about, let me know inside of these videos. Send me a DM, send me an email. I'll be more than happy to create videos for you about various different things. Well, when it comes to systems and client management and entrepreneurship, I'll be happy to go through and create those videos for you, because this is the systems. The Monday lives are like our systems and chill, where I can kind of pull back the curtain on things that I'm working on, things that I might be doing with my clients or seeing, just like maybe on Threads where we could just talk about it. So definitely feel free to, like, if there's a subject that you want to kind of talk about and want to learn more about, or just, like I said, just talk about it and get perspective, I'll be more than happy to share that type of content with you on these lives as well. So if you missed last week's, go ahead and check out last week's, because last week we talked about the inquiry. And yeah, I will see you again next week. Still, I do have something very special coming up for you in the next coming weeks. We're going to have a 3-day challenge, as well as going to be a very huge giveaway That's going to be coming up in the next few weeks. So definitely stay tuned for that. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to subscribe to this channel so you'll be able to know when I go through and post videos just like this. So I appreciate it. If you were able to join me live, thank you so much for taking the time to join me live. And if you're watching the replay, again, hashtag replay, just let me know where you're tuning in from and what type of business that you have and the clients that you serve. And I'll be happy to connect with you. And I will see each and every one of you again next Monday for our Systems and Chill live at 12 p.m. Eastern.